Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Advancement. Welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And folks, today we have a very serious show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. And also be sure to follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. So we did a show on Saturday reacting to the news of Shannon Sharpe essentially settling his lawsuit with his accuser, who's a OnlyFans model, who's now a former OnlyFans model. And we all remember the kind of grotesque details that were coming out. We heard some of the audio, etc., etc. So at the time, Shannon was being hit by this lawsuit, and this plaintiff was, the plaintiff was being represented by Tony Busby. Y'all know who that is. Shannon Sharpe called it a shakedown. He said it was fake and all of this stuff. He's going to fight his hardest. And then, he was going to ensure, and then I think the statement was he looks forward to being back to ESPN before NFL season kicks off. So we then get word that Shannon Sharpe settled the lawsuit. Everybody was messaging me, hey, man, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? But we had a whole bunch of other content that, frankly, was just more interesting in the pipeline that I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about it, but it ain't the most important thing for us to talk about. So we did a show about it, reacting to it. And then a lot of people disagree with me, right? Because I was saying it's a win for him because now this thing is behind his back. But a lot of people like, Charles, you got this one dead wrong. You got it dead wrong. And I was talking to somebody just this weekend that's in the entertainment industry that probably has met Shannon Sharpe before. And he said, this is not a win for Shannon at all. And he said that he absolutely doubts that Shannon Sharpe is ever going to come back to work at ESPN because ESPN is owned by Disney. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. People feel this way. And then I came across a report here from Awful Announcement with the following headline stating this. Will Shannon Sharpe return to ESPN after lawsuit? Now that Shannon Sharpe has settled his sexual assault lawsuit, will we see him back on ESPN airwaves at First Take? And I'm like, So this article is now also questioning whether or not there's any if there's a possibility of this guy actually not returning. But before we even get into what this report had to say, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. One of the things I love the most is making unforgettable memories with family and friends. And one of the things I hate the most is overpaying for tickets only to find out that there was a better deal out there. That's one of the reasons I started using Game Time. Game Time is the easy go-to app for last-minute tickets to sports, concert, and theater events across 60+ states in the US and Canada. Game Time saves me time, money, and stress by curating only the best deals, so I'm not wasting a whole bunch of time scrolling through overpriced tickets. Game Time Picks is my favorite tool. It highlights the best value seats instantly. No more guesswork, no more wasting time. For example, I'm really looking forward to watching some of these NBA Summer League games. Here's what I like to do. I choose between the cheapest deal, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So let's continue on. It says, just a few months ago, it was looking like Shannon Sharpe would never be seen on ESPN airwaves again. The Hall of Fame tight end was enjoying a media renaissance after his explosive breakup with Skip Bayless after years together on FS1. And before that, being an NFL studio analyst, Sharpe built himself up into a brand. He became one of the top podcasts and hosts in sports and entertainment, and quickly linked up with Stephen A. Smith and First Take to continue their dominance over the sports debate world. Continued on, but in an ugly turn of events, it all seemed to come crumbling down. Shannon was named in a $50 million sexual lawsuit, and instead of trying to deal with it quietly, he made the controversial decision to fight it publicly, even naming his accuser. After more public back and forth, which included text message and voicemail, Shannon Sharpe decided to step away from ESPN while continuing the legal battle. Given the seriousness of the allegation and ugliness that ensued, it appeared that Sharpe's days at ESPN were numbered, and the burgeoning media empire might be teetering. Just last month, former ESPN personality Dan Le Batard went on the record to say that Sharpe would likely never return to the worldwide leader in sports. We probably all know at this point that Shannon is not likely to ever work at ESPN again, right? I think we can reasonably assume Shannon Sharpe would like it to look like he has a chance to return to Le Batard. I don't know if you can be Disney and allow any of what happened there. But now the equation has changed as Tony Busby, the lawyer for Shannon Sharpe's accuser, announced that there was a settlement in the suit and that the lawsuit would be dismissed. On April 20th, 2025, the Busby law firm filed a complaint in Nevada making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our client. Busby shared a social media post. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. After protracted and respectful negotiations, I am pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters have now been addressed satisfactorily, and the matter is now closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. The language in Busby's statement seems to fare well for Sharpe, with the acknowledgement of consensual and yet tumultuous relationship, and the dismissal of the lawsuit brings Shannon Sharpe's legal troubles to a close. So what's next? Does ESPN bring him back, or has the damage been done? Given ESPN is still owned by Disney, the company could very well still come to an understanding that it's better to have Shannon Sharpe quietly stay away. He hasn't been seen on ESPN airwaves since April, and with the new football season around the corner, the network has a deep bench to call upon for First Take, where Sharpe only appeared a couple of days a week. The memories of the accusations won't just disappear, but there's more evidence to suggest that ESPN would welcome back Sharpe in the weeks and months to come. Stephen A. Smith has previously voiced his support for Sharpe, hoping that his co-star will return in time for football season. If Smith wants Shannon Sharpe back on First Take, it would be very difficult for ESPN to tell their $100 million man that he can't. And with Shannon not found liable in any way, the lawsuit dismissed with prejudice, there would appear to be no legal roadblocks to his return. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things there. What is my take on this? Look, some people feel like he won't come back. I still feel like he will. All right, I still feel like he will. Again, the case has been dismissed. The only circumstance in which I think Shannon cannot come back is if another lawsuit just pops up out of nowhere. Now, a lot of people were saying you don't settle if you're not guilty. And there's some truth to that, but there's also the standpoint of some people just settle because they want it to go away, right? There's some people that just simply like, man, I want to be done with this headache. I don't want this to be a part of my life anymore. Like, I'm done with it. Now, there's another part to this which stunned me yesterday when we were doing the live reacting to Shaq's comments about Kobe. I'm hearing that this woman got paid upwards of $15 to $20 million in the lawsuit. And then she came out after that and said, she's going to be retiring from OnlyFans. And bro, look, man. Bro, Shannon Sharpe is a grown-ass man, bro. That's not no little boy we talking about. You put yourself in that situation, man. You got to understand how to move around at that level. Like, bro, like, people are upset about that, but who you upset at? Who you upset at? She saw an opportunity and she took it. Now, we don't know. I don't know the details of it, but that's what it looked like. And Shannon put himself in that situation. So, look, I don't know if Shannon Sharpe is going to return. Some people are pretty much convinced that he's not going to return because it's ESPN, and ESPN is owned by Disney. But then Stephen A. Smith says some things about Jeffrey Epstein, and I haven't heard any news yet. And we're going to get to that a little bit later. But but anyway, so you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.